Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to build passive income? Is it because you don't know what to do? Is it because you don't have a system? Is it because you don't have anybody surrounding you who is seeking what you are seeking? And every single month we come on here, we share our personal passive income report for these reasons. One, to inspire you that if two rednecks from Alabama can do this, you can too. But also that there's not magic behind this. There's a lot of steps to becoming financially free. We know you can't skip steps, but when you understand the process, the achieving the goal becomes much easier. So if this is the first time listening, welcome. My name is Russ Morgan. I'm here with my partner, Mr. Joey Murray. Stallion, good afternoon.
Always a pleasure to be here, man. I love sharing this report with everybody.
Well, here's the key is that I think, some people have uh, or lack maybe a good vision for what financial freedom looks like. Most people would say, "Hey, I feel a little bit stuck. I feel a little bit behind. I wish I could spend more time with my family. I feel like work is draining me." Some variation of that, but there's not a real clean framework for most people to follow in their eyes. At least that's what they tell us. Thousands of people every single year come to us and they use those exact words, and when we get with them and we say, hey, we know the formula for financial freedom is easy, but the work to accomplish it is hard. And they say, but what is the formula? So, Stallion, let's start breaking this down. What is the formula for financial freedom?
Yeah, think about it. It makes perfect sense. When your passive income exceeds your monthly expenses or your lifestyle, you are financially free. Like
What?
imagine for a second that dollars are coming into your mailbox, into your account that you don't go to work actively for. You're not trading that time for money. That's passive income coming in and it covers your bills. You now own your calendar. No one else does. That's the picture for me, Russ, that I think if you can get that clear, all of a sudden everything starts to make sense. So you can start making decisions in light of that supporting argument.
If you haven't been following us, going back to the middle of 2020, we started to share what we were doing personally, investing. And we've kept track of it. As you can see, if you're watching us on YouTube, we've invested a little over $2 million of our money, and we've produced a little over $2.9 million in income on that 2.1 invested. That's a 139% return on investment based upon this calculator. Now, some of the money coming back to his principal. So my calculator, I think, is a little bit off. But also part of that calculation, why it's so high, Stallion, is because we've been borrowing money against insurance companies, which is increasing our rate of return, correct?
All right, explain what you mean by that. I know what you mean, but I don't think everybody's maybe following you.
Well, I was having a conversation with a guy last night. He was saying, hey, I'm looking at your passive income report, and I noticed that you guys have something that you invest in on here. Help me understand what its return is. I said, well, first, let's break this down. Let's stop. Before we get, the cart before the horse. I I think everybody loves the visual of what the end looks like, but it always has to come to a beginning. And I say,
Good point.
without a system, right? Without a process, we would have never gotten there. So we built what we call the passive income operating system. If you haven't implemented this in your life, you don't even know what we're talking about. Go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/PIOS. And what it'll actually do is actually give you access to a webinar that we created that we have shared over and over with people of how we've done this. And so when I was talking to that guy yesterday, Stallion, I was saying, yes, you've seen us take our active income, and we've run it through a process to ultimately where we're able to start buying assets. But it came from the fact that whenever we invested those dollars, we started gaining understanding. Now, some people, Joey, would say, but I don't know how to do this. Or, you know what, I need to just keep learning and then I will understand how to do this. But learning does not equal understanding. What equals understanding, Stallion?
No, it's action. Taking action will lead to understanding for sure.
Well, and so I said, what do? We borrow against life insurance policies. And he's like, wait a second, why are you telling me about that? So, well, you asked me, what is the return of the investment that we've been doing? And I said, well, first, you have to understand that we ran our money through a process, and we went to an insurance company and we deposited those dollars into the insurance company and we borrowed against those dollars. So, what happened? Our cash value continued to grow the whole time. And so when I showed you a second ago that 130 something percent return, I didn't have to put in all of that $2.1 million in order to create the return. I only had to pay interest on the borrowing of that money. And as you see in our diagram, if you're watching on YouTube, you see that we borrow money interest only. That's important, Stallion. Why?
Because then we're in charge of the repayment, right? We only, and we also don't have this massive bill, including principal and interest or a balance payment some institutions will require of you. The insurance company is willing to do this because they have collateral. They have collateral on you. Your death benefit is their biggest expense on their books. And so, therefore, they're willing to allow you not to pay it back immediately or pay it back on whatever time frame you deem necessary.
Well, and by using that money, what have we done? This year, we've brought in a little over $440,000 in income. And this specific month, we've brought in a little over 52,000. So for those watching and listening, Stallion, would you break down kind of what made up that 52,000?
Yeah, so there's always going to be winners and losers. We're never going to give you all the rainbows and unicorns like an Instagram passive income report. So there's three main characters that were in the winner circle. We'll break those down in a second. And then there's two that were kind of lagging behind that I'll break down what's going on with those as well. Our land business is still king. It is $23,000 on top in terms of income coming back to us. That's our portion from that business. And if you're not familiar with that strategy, if you go to thelandgeek.com, you can learn more about how they're actually doing that. We actually hired them as our operators in the process to do a done for you business where we're constantly selling raw land and it is producing owner finance notes back to us that keeps stacking up as to what you now see is the 23,000 a month in income. The second big winner, we sold. This is the ultimate passive income machine. We built a short-term rental business and then we sold that business on owner financing. You see a theme going on here, Russ, like owner financing notes coming back to us. And in the month of July, we had a little over 16, almost 17,000 in the form of a loan repayment on that from the short-term rental business. And then the third winner is our Turo fleet. So the month of July, it netted over $1,600, which was up 28% from the month before. That's equivalent of 3 vehicles that I have professionally operated or managed by an operator here locally. And so on average, each one created over $500 in net income to me after management fee, after expenses, after repairs. And by the way, there are repairs when it comes to renting out cars. So those three were the big winners. In terms of the losers last month, well, let's just say that the online drop shipping company is still not strong. It's still slow to quite slow, unless, of course, you decided, and maybe you are the one that went to 100unicorns.com and said, I want to support Joey. I want to stop the bleeding on this business and buy something for my kid or my grandkid. We did lose about $100 in that business. It's really kind of fledgling at this point, but we're working on it. And there's more to come on that. And then the second thing, I have a venture with online content websites. And in the month of July, the two different websites that we have together actually lost about 45% of the net income that they had the previous month. And I'll just tell you, this is the building grounds of a business. We're hiring virtual assistants. We're training them. Some are making it, some are not making it. Some will follow the process, some will not. And so there's a lot of churn at this point in the business to try to find the right team to be able to really put out the right content that will drive people and increase the media income.
Well, one of the things I think of is that you see a theme within almost all business structure. If you've heard of the Pareto principle, right? The 80-20 rule, where 20% of the things will produce 80% of the results. And I sit here and I see, Stallion, that in our case, it was about 16% of the, the 19s. I think we had 19 items, and three of those 19 income sources produced 80% of all the revenue. And
Mm.
people will say all the time, why are you monkeys dinking around with those other 16 items that only produce, say, 10 grand? Well, one, 10 grand is nothing to shake a stick at, right? But we do this for you. This is for you guys. Like literally, if we didn't like lose money in trying to, start a drop shipping company or start a vending machine business or, start doing churro, how would you know that you shouldn't do this? Like that's what this is for. Like we are here serving you guys and also making fun of ourselves along the way. But it is
That's right.
funny as you look in those details, you see that. But most of the time, people will focus more on the investments. And you know, Robert Kiyosaki has a great saying that there's no good or bad investments. They're just good or bad investors. And for us, it's always been how do we continue to grow ourselves, and ultimately, how do we create an avenue for you? Because as a company, we have a goal to help 1 million people become financially free, and we know that just talking about building a system is not enough. People are going to have to also become good investors. And up until maybe, I don't know, 6 months ago, we really didn't have a way to do that, Stallion. But we have been able to transition and create something that's pretty cool.
That's right. The Passive Income Lab is now launched, and it has produced amazing results for those who feel like they have some of the same problems that we kept facing over and over and over. The first one they kept saying was, well, I don't know what to invest in, right? You even given me some tools, the investor DNA profile, like, oh, that's great, but I still don't feel confident knowing what to invest in. The second thing they kept saying is, well, now I know what to invest in. How do I know where to find those investments? Like, who are the best operators? How do I interview the best operators to make sure that just because they offer this, solution, are they the best ones that I should invest with? And then the third one is they don't want to lose money. Like many of you have said, I'd love to get into this space. This alternative investing seems like a better route, but how do I make it safer for me so that I don't lose money? I can't afford to do that.
Well, and this is, that for people who haven't taken part yet in our passive income lab, if you have built your infinite banking system, you have your passive income operating system in place, you are efficiently moving dollars out of money traps, right? We talk about this in our webinar. If you don't know what the money traps are, you need to understand this because these are the places that are preventing us from really getting access to capital. Most of us don't have an income problem. We have access to capital problem. So we built out this lab for people who've built the system, but now need to know what to do. And most people say, well, I can't just do it on my own. I'm going to have to do it with others. So we have a 12-week itinerary for people to walk through that they walk through with 9 other people and 3 coaches. And those coaches are leading you through a process that helps you understand what are the items I need to learn to do. What are the things that I need to build? Joey, you were talking about those, like building a buy box, understanding, creating a checklist, having due diligence, ultimately creating the confidence, and then actually starting to invest. So most people don't know what to invest in. So when they do see the first deal, they make the mistake of investing in it.
That's
What does
right.
that end up doing? A lot of times, the first couple of deals we invest in are actually terrible things. But we are so fearful of missing out on an opportunity or what we think is an opportunity because we haven't been able to make a real clean, clear, objective process for us to follow. So
Yeah.
one of the
So,
items I would say, Joey, is that in this is that going through this passive income lab, people are able to do that with objectivity. You want to talk a little bit about the?
well, yeah, I just want to talk about the tools that people are building within this passive income lab that they are raving about, right? We hear their testimonials every single month as they complete their 12 weeks. And one of the big standouts is the tools. They now have confidence because they've been able to enter into our custom GPT their own investor buy box details, the things that they want to be committed to when they're looking at deals. And then they can literally take whatever the PowerPoint, the pitch deck, the the ppm and roll it into this GPT, and it will tell them green light, yellow light, red light. And that just makes it so much simpler to say, yeah, I'm not going to emotionally make a decision about what to invest in. I'm going to let the parameters I've set in place beforehand dictate to me if I should then put dollars towards that. So
It,
people are loving that.
well, here's the part though. It's like, going through this process, I've just loved, like you said, hearing what people's feedback is. One is having, securities attorneys that we've brought into this lab that help you understand what to look for. Where are those red flags in every deal? Like most people, they don't read the 100-page subscription agreement. They watch the 30-minute pitch. And hey, just think about it. Like, who in the world is going to put in the bad details in their pretty pitch deck? But for legality, they have to give you all the understanding in those legal documents. Well, where do you look for those? How do you know what to look for? How do you avoid making the mistakes that so many of us have made by not reading those documents, just literally hitting DocuSign? Well, we have a securities attorney that comes in and teaches a section within this lab for that specific purpose. Then you take that document and you put it in this tool that, Joey, you've been talking about, and that allows them to analyze it and compare it to what you have done. So a lot of the work that goes in here is like building out this. So we call it a lab for a purpose, is that a lab is not just learning, a lab is doing. And we said it a
100%.
second ago, knowledge does not equal understanding, meaning you can't learn enough to understand how this works. You have to start taking action and doing. When you take action, now you understand. So like if you're watching here, we talk about having this passive income operating system. Once you have borrowed money against your system, you have money flowing, and you go and invest and you make that transaction, you start to understand how the deal is working. And you also start to avoid the idea of missing out. One of our good buddies says a deal of a lifetime comes around twice a week. If you understand, because you've done enough deals, right? Knowledge does not equal understanding. Doing, taking action equals understanding. Then you realize that you don't have to miss out on opportunity because there's so many. But when you take action, you start to get that money flowing and you get to start feeling what it's like. I love the fact that whenever we go through this, we get to see the testimonials of so many people sharing their stories, sharing the deals that they've invested in, sharing the fact that they now have passive income that they never had before. And like that's the really goal behind us sharing this monthly passive income report with you, is that it was intended to inspire, but ultimately it was intended to get you to take action, because it was so tired of hearing people say, I wish I could, do the what seemingly are the simple things. Like I wish I could eat breakfast with my child. I wish I could pick my child up from the bus stop at the end of the day, but I'm gone. I'm not available there. I wish I had more summers with my kids, but I'm always traveling. I don't have that capacity. But if you had more passive income than you had monthly expenses, would that give you more freedom to say yes to things and no to things? Would that allow you to step away whenever you're feeling like, man, I'm having to decide between my business or between the company I'm working for and my family? That's what financial freedom is for, is to put you in the driver's seat, to put you in control. And sharing these ideas with you, hopefully, is just inspiration to know it's possible. If you haven't built the system yet, go to what'swhatwallstreet.com/PIOS. There's an opportunity for you to take action, to get on a call with one of these coaches. If you've done that and you're like, man, I've got to become a better investor, talk to them about, what does the passive income lab look like? How would this, potentially apply for me? We do an interview process there because our goal is to ensure everybody that goes through there can have success, because we're going to guarantee, Stallion, that everybody actually gets passive income. What does that guarantee again?
Yeah, within those 12 weeks, you're going to create your first $500 of passive income, or we're going to keep working with you until you do. Like that's our commitment is to you, is that you're going to take action. We're going to keep you accountable so that you get to that end. Because guess what? That's the gateway. If you get your first $500 a month, how easy is it to get 1,000? How easy is it to get to 2,000? How easy is it to get to 10,000? If you've already proven yourself, you can do the first 500. then it's just about stacking, as Russ showed you in the PowerPoint. This is a process that will build on itself, but it starts with knowing what to invest in because it lines up with you, knowing where to look for those investments and how to ask the right questions of operators to uncover real deals and fake deals. And then lastly, how to get the confidence to know that you're not going to lose money. Those are the three things. If we can do that through this lab, which that's what the testimonials tell us, this is how I finally feel like I know what I'm doing. I'm so excited. I just made my first investment and I'm already looking at 2 and 3 other opportunities that I never would have known had I not taken this course. That's what this is really about.
Well, I hope you found value in today's episode as we broke down our personal passive income report. We shared something that you've been asking us about. What is that passive income lab? So we wanted to take a little bit of time. Hope it didn't sound like just a commercial for it. Obviously, we're passionate about it. We're excited. We got a time to spend a few days with the group that runs our passive income lab in Nashville about 2 weeks ago, and man, we were just on high hearing all of those testimonials, those live reports from people that have gone through this, and now having over 50 some odd people that have gone successfully through this program, have building passive income, that are on their path to becoming financially free. It's just inspiration to say, how many more people can we get through this? So if you're looking to do that, just jump on a call with one of our coaches. If you haven't set up the operating system, go to what'swhatwallstreet.com/PIOS. Or if you have, just go to what'swhatwallstreet.com/free call, and you can ask about the specifics around the passive income lab and see if it's a fit for you, if that's something that it'd be a good next step. Stallion, thank you so much for your feedback. Thank you for listening. Everybody have an amazing day.